all so much for being here. I have to say, I really genuinely love being in this room with all of you, learning together, and so I appreciate you showing up. And I also want to acknowledge we have quite a few people joining via live stream today. So hello to our folks on live stream. We'll be monitoring your questions and engaging you the same as the folks who are here in person. My name is Leah Zickmund. I'm the executive director here at Hourglass. I want to welcome you to our First Friday Forum this month. We are having a conversation with the Lancaster City Alliance in Willow Valley about kind of the larger project of Southern Market and also Mosaic. I want to remind you all, before we dive in, actually, before I do that, who's a first-timer here today? Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. If you didn't on your way in, please grab some materials on your way out. We have our annual report out there. We have brochures. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can do so quite easily on your way out if you want to grab an envelope. And I'm always happy to chat about the Hourglass and why I'm passionate about what we do. So my business card is out there as well. What we do here at the Hourglass, we provide information to people, relevant, reliable information on quality of life issues here to protect and enhance our quality of life here in Lancaster County. All of us have a unique investment in Lancaster County, and so we like to highlight those different things through our forums. We also focus on, I've kind of been, separating these topics out. We focus on things that people know about, and we also focus on things that people might not be aware of. And so each conversation we have is kind of bringing different parts of those conversations up. Today we're talking about something that a lot of people are talking about right now, and a lot of people are curious, and I can tell just based on the energy of people coming into the room, the crowd we have here today, and we want to be that source of information to be able to connect you to the experts who can answer your questions. So I don't want to belabor my point too much, but I do just want to introduce our speakers today and kind of let them take the stage and make sure that we have ample time for question and answer at the end as well. Today we have Marshall Snively, president of Lancaster City Alliance, and Helen Foster, who's the chief marketing officer at Willow Valley Communities. Lots of folks are really curious about the construction happening at Mosaic, what to expect, how that might change our life here in Lancaster County and Lancaster City. But there's a larger story that we're interested in talking about today, which is the revitalization of South Queen and West Vine, and kind of going back to some of those origin conversations with Southern Market, and then where we are today with Mosaic. So I'll pass it over to our speakers and just thank you in advance. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with us. And invite Helen to come up. Oh, Marshall.
Great, thank you. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marshall Snively. I'm president of Lancaster City Alliance, and it's great to be here at Hourglass again. For those of you who don't know, and although I see a lot of familiar faces here, we are a nonprofit organization that's mostly funded through the corporate community, but a lot of our work is based off partnerships and collaborations, both with the city and with neighborhood organizations, the private sector, and other public sectors. We also manage the Downtown Investment District and the CRIZ, the City Revitalization and Improvement Zone, where we have some board members here. Hey, Mark, how you doing? So the last time I was here, it was in 2023, and I shared the stage with our friends from Landis Homes to talk about the West King Street corridors and some of the advancements that had occurred there. But I want to take everyone back to in 2016, I presented what was then a one-year review of what continues to be one of our largest bodies of work, which is the Building on Strength Economic Development Strategic Plan. And so I thought I would set the stage for this conversation because the intersection of Vine and Queen was one of the major focus points of this plan, and is really apropos for this conversation that we're having today. So I thought I would do a quick tutorial, and then we'll get into more details about Southern Market, Mosaic, and that area in general. So building on strength, so this plan was completed in 2015 And so we are now in year 10 of a 15-year plan. And as I said, the intersection of Vine and Queen was a major component of that plan. And but I wanted to take us back a little bit and talk about what the plan was really about. So there were four strategies as part of this plan. One was basically your economic development, your traditional economic development, bricks and sticks. How do you make it easier for projects to get out of the ground? The other is really taking advantage of the entrepreneurial community we have here and how we can cultivate those entrepreneurs. Also leveraging the brand, marketing the city as a great place to live, as a great place to invest, as a great place to work. And then quality of life, where this is where it all begins. I mean, if people don't feel clean, if you don't have a clean, a safe environment, then the other three things just don't happen. So quality of life is a huge part of this. And I'm happy to say that that intersection of Vine and Queen really capture all four of these strategies. So the plan focused on some major areas, not only downtown, but I think importantly, if not most importantly, it also focused on what we called commercial hubs. Outside of downtown, it includes areas in SoWe, South Duke, areas to the east, areas to the west of the city, and obviously areas to the north around the train station and around the stadium. We thought it was key because in past plans, most of that focus was on downtown, and albeit we're talking a lot about downtown today, we see this site as a great way to make that connection between downtown and areas south of the city. So in all, we had 70 investment sites that we identified at the beginning of the plan. And I'm happy to report that 10 years into the plan, almost 50% of those sites are either completed, under construction, or under study in some way. So we've come a long way in 10 years, which is 5 years to go. So we had some lofty goals back then. So by 2030, we wanted to see 300 new hotel rooms, 2,500 new residential units of all types. We wanted to have 100,000 square feet of new and renovated retail, 300 square feet of office and flex space, and we wanted to realize $1 billion of privately led investment throughout the city. And that's an important piece because prior to this plan, the city saw $1.5 billion of investment over about a 10-year span, under the leadership of Mayor Gray. So it's all here. Thank you, sir. But we're also quick to point out that a lot of that investment occurred because of publicly funded investment, like the stadium and the convention center. And we all know that those types of funds really aren't there anymore, so we really have to rely on the tools that we have now and private sector involvement. So, where are we now? So if you look at the screen here, you can see that of the hotel rooms, we are almost 200. We didn't quite make the 300 goal, but we still have 5 years to go. We are at just under 1,300 apartment units under construction or residential units under construction or completed, with another like 1,700 in the pipeline, which includes Mosaic. We've had almost 200,000 square feet of new and renovated retail, and some of that is captured within the southern market. We've seen almost 500,000 square feet of new and renovated office space, some of that also captured in the Southern Market project. And in all, today, we are already over $1 billion of investment, privately led investment throughout the city, and that's 5 years into the plan. With all the other projects that are in the pipeline, if they come to fruition, we're talking about $1.5 billion of investment currently happening in the city. That's truly transformative, and that's something that as a community we should be very, very proud of. So how did we get to where we are now? When we finished the Building on Strength plan, we worked very closely with at that time, let's just say, Southern Market especially, the city council chambers, the chamber, EDC were all in that building, and they left. And we saw that as a major opportunity. We also saw that as a major opportunity to not only look at Southern Market, but to look at the LNP site across the street, the Swan Hotel, which was sitting vacant. And while we were waiting for the redevelopment of the Stephen Smith, which is currently underway, which is great. So to that end, we worked with the city, the Steinman Communications, the Convention Center, and thanks to that collective visioning, we released an RFP to attract development for all three of those corners, with a hope that maybe one master developer would look at all of them at the same time. That first round, there was a lot of interest, but none came to fruition yet. So we're sort of, not back to the drawing board, but we were still out there sort of marketing the site. And that's when some other conversations started to occur. Soon after that, the city released another RFP for Southern Market. And what ultimately resulted there was a partnership between Lancaster Equity and Willow Valley Communities, which began in 2019. And this is now a real center of entrepreneurship and the first important piece of what will soon be like totally transformed Crossroads. So it's combining small business incubation, culture and education across the street at the Stephen Smith site, and now with the new residential and retail across the street at Mosaic Tower. That's going to be fantastic. And now, even the Swan Hotel is under development as a boutique hotel. Once Mosaic is complete, that vision for that intersection and that connection between downtown and the southern part of the city will be complete. So you can see like sort of the vision here to the right. It'll be interesting when we get more details on Mosaic, but it is interesting that, in general, it's pretty close to what we envisioned for that intersection. You can see from that rendering that shows redevelopment of the Swan building, the redevelopment of Southern Market, but a larger building to take advantage of the vacant site, which was an LNP printing area, printing plant. That vision is now coming to fruition. You can see there, if you should overlay this with the, with what's coming.
It's a little short, though.
Yeah, it may be a little smaller than what's about to be built there, but we are very happy that it does really fit within the vision that we've had for building on strength in that intersection. So with that, that's a little bit of background. I'll turn it over to Helen to give more detail on.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're going to hear an accent. So I'm from New Orleans. I'm actually still currently reside in New Orleans, though I am the CMO of Willow Valley Communities. And my background with Willow Valley actually dates back to 1995 when I was working with a branding and communications firm called J. Walter Thompson in Dallas, Texas, and Willow Valley Communities was a client. And it was intriguing to me when I joined the agency because everyone in the agency wanted to work on the Willow Valley Communities business, which I thought was most peculiar because it was a 55-plus residential community in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. But I was, again, curious, and I had to go figure it out. So what I came to learn quickly was that Willow Valley was the most innovative in its industry category. And so I had the chance to start working very early on with John Swanson and Marlon Thomas in envisioning expansion strategy and also working on the branding side as well. So I've subsequently left to create my own company, which is a real estate development consultancy, and I've worked with hundreds of communities across the United States. After the recession in 2007, which was the year I launched my company, by the way, which was probably not a great time to open a real estate development consultancy, if you might recall. But I did that, and the agency let me leave with two of my clients, one of which was Willow Valley. So for the past 30 years now, I'm actually pushing 31, I've been affiliated with the organization in some way and have filled a number of roles. So again, working on the branding front, but then later as vice president of the board and a board member, and then now as CMO. So it's been a great journey. It's been an amazing process. And it's been a pleasure, beyond pleasures, to work with John and Marlon and others. And before I even get underway, I did want to acknowledge that, and this is for questions later too, that we do have John Swanson here And we also have Lisa, who has joined us as the new CMO, Lisa Hawthorne. And so John and Lisa, if y'all could wave over there. So Lisa is a couple months into the job and is just doing fantastically. And it was a pleasure to work with Lisa as well as we continue to envision what Willow Valley will be going forward. So one of the things that has been great is John and I, Lisa soon, and also Marlon have been united through an organization called the Urban Land Institute. And the Urban Land Institute always challenges you to think of the highest and best use of land. And so anytime you're dealing with available land, that's the challenge. And it's never a process of working independently to envision something. It's very much a collaborative process. It's very much collaborative when it's at its best. And so I think we will find here that what we're working on is indeed working to achieve the highest and best use at Queen and Vine. So Willow Valley was founded 41 years ago now. So it started as a standalone community of one building, a multifamily building, and it has expanded to include 210 or 215 acres with 2 campuses in Willow Street, which is just 5 miles or 7 minutes south of the city. And so it uniquely melds active adult living plus life care, of course, and also resort-grade hospitality. And that combination makes it totally unique in the industry and has led to our ability to attract 2,600 residents from over 42 states. And so as I say residents, I'm looking at a couple in the back. So if you could please raise your hand if you're residents of Willow Valley too. So welcome to you all. Glad to see you. Okay, so you may have heard recently that Newsweek just named Willow Valley Communities the #2 community in the United States. We actually were very proud in this case to be #2. The #1 community is a former client of mine, Val Verde in Santa Barbara, California. So if you're up for moving to Santa Barbara, you can go check it out. But we're #1 in Pennsylvania in the East, and also #1 in the life care category, which we can explore a little bit more later. So I did want to share this slide. This is economic impacts and context. So when we started to explore the idea of expanding into downtown, we wanted to do a study with a respected economic assessing company, and we went to Oxford Economics. They had recently completed a report on the impacts of the longevity economy, as they called it. And so we reached out to them to see if they would be interested in working with us to assess what contribution Willow Valley brings to the regional economy. So you see some of the highlights there. One of the big ones is 2,262 jobs. So these are in 2019 numbers because this is the year that we did the study. But those are direct jobs. We have about 1,600 employees at Willow Valley, and if you can imagine it running like a small city, we have people who work in landscaping and people who work in culinary and people who work in every aspect of really city life. And so, but then in addition to that, the money that is spent by the residents and the investment in operations and development that Willow Valley makes supports additional jobs, another 1,000 jobs that are indirectly supported. And then also the tax impacts are also very beneficial. So Marshall talks about, investment coming in. It's not public investment, but private investment. So Willow Valley contributes significantly to the regional tax base. And you probably can't read this, but it would be an additional tax of $163 per household in Lancaster to replace the tax contribution that Willow Valley brings. So it's one of the things that economics, well, not the success, but the strength of the organization is one of the things that makes it possible for it to continue to expand, as you can imagine. So I did want to mention that beyond Southern Market and Mosaic, because those are what we're talking about today, Willow Valley Community's family of brands also includes other things that you've probably heard of and may hear of more in coming months. One is the Marlon and Doris Thomas Memory Center, which John has been very instrumental in working on, that will open in July of 2026. So it's under construction right now. It will be the national, if not international, state-of-the-art community of its type. So a residential community totally focused on memory care, that lives itself like a small city. So I encourage you to go dive a little bit more into that if you haven't already. There was a presentation, actually I attended it. That was my first Hourglass, was attending the presentation that Lauren Renahan did that some of you might remember on the memory care or the memory center back, that was I suppose about a year ago today. Okay, and then there's also Smart Life via Willow Valley. That is the life care at home program that Willow Valley does provide, that is providing life care into traditional housing in a multi-county region. So just wanted to touch on that. It's the same organization. So you may wonder then, we have been growing now for all these years in South County. So what challenged us or what encouraged us to consider Lancaster? One of the things was Lancaster consistently is ranked as one of the top places to retire in the United States, so that was intriguing. And we, came down, spent a lot of time. Obviously, all of the employees live here except for me. But exploring, what makes downtown so ideal, and then could there be a chance for us to continue expansion in a way where we could go vertical and not horizontal. We have the 215 acres in South County. We have a significant and growing wait list of people who want to come to be part of the community. And if we are to accommodate those people who want to come, we need to continue to expand, or else we have to turn them away. That's not good for us. It's not good for the city either. We were exploring ways to expand, and a vertical expansion or a vertical community very much made sense for us to explore. So we started looking downtown, and I will never forget touring the site of the L&P building, which fortunately people weren't that in love with. So, it's gone now. But anyway, so the building itself was not architecturally beautiful, and that's good. But anyway, so, touring that site, but then also we had a chance to walk into Southern Market that day as we were touring. And, we just were excited about the potential to work on both of those sites together, which we'll dig into more. And then also there's the charm and culture of walkability of Lancaster. I have absolutely fallen in love with this city. I've had my husband up here to tour around. I'm like, see, this is going to be great. And actually, I mentioned that Willow Valley has residents from 42 states, and Louisiana is not on the list, and so I think I need to fix that. So the first press on the plans for Willow Valley's plans and collaborating with Marshall and team and other partners, the first release of that information was in June of 2019. And then you all know what happened in early 2020. So the plans have not substantially changed from when we made this initial release, but what changed was timing, which was 100% beyond our control. It forced us to focus on matters at hand at Willow Valley Communities, and also really complicated pricing. It made it impossible to price Mosaic, to present it as an option. We couldn't even price it because of supply chain issues for a very long time. So the next message that we sent out came out in summer of 2021, and this is while we were earnestly under construction at Southern Market. Still planning for Mosaic, of course, but Southern Market would take the lead because the building already existed as a historic property, and so we didn't have to build that one, but there was a significant investment on the part of Willow Valley Communities in rehabilitating that building. I don't know if you walked through it as I did when it was all partitioned off. There was a lot of work to do. That tile, it was very 80s, 70s, 80s retro. It was something else. But how many of you have been to Southern Market, just as a show of hands? So almost everyone. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, but I do want to talk a little bit about it. So at the time that it was built by C.M. Urban in 1888, and I don't know if y'all know this, but if you stand in front of it where the word Southern is, and you look up the numbers, 1888 are up there in brick, and it's actually really beautiful. It's one of my favorite aspects of the building, that and the finials. But beautiful building, and it was described as being the grandest building in Lancaster when it was built. So it was designed as a farmer's market and operated as such for nearly 100 years, renovated in the 80s, hence the lovely interiors, to include offices. And it was designated in the 2010s as being underutilized, and I would venture to guess that's when the last dollar was spent in its refurbishment or rehabilitation, and that was pretty evident. So if you contrast what it was intended to be in its very origins in 1888, and you think about what it has become now, really the why behind the building is very similar. So really it's intended to nurture Lancaster's entrepreneurial spirit and to benefit everyone in the community, and again, really transforming a landmark into a world-class food hall and also community hub. So a little known fact about Southern Market is that we benchmarked, Willow Valley historically will benchmark on national or international best practices, not in senior housing, because we know better than to do that, but we benchmark on best practices in life. We looked at all the best food halls in the United States and the world as we were studying what would become Southern Market. And when I kept trying to do research, it kept bringing me back to New Orleans, and it was so interesting. And I figured I was getting geofenced, on the internet. And as it would turn out, the best food hall developer operator in the United States happens to be headquartered in New Orleans. So I walked into their market and had a meeting set up with one of their executives, their CEO, and had a conversation with him about potentially coming to meet with us to provide strategic advisory to us. And that actually did come to pass. So now you're in the know that there is a New Orleans connection in Southern Market. So it allowed us to really accelerate bringing Southern Market to opening. So the partnership, Southern Market is stronger because of the partnership, which I mentioned earlier. And I have to say Mosaic is stronger because of the partnership too. And so going into it, it was like, seeing this great opportunity to turn this into a modern food hall. Hey, great, this is wonderful. This will be an asset to the residents of Mosaic. But way beyond that, it was just I think a labor of love for all of us involved in being able to bring that back as a major community asset. So the food hall has 13 chefs serving local and international cuisines. Bar 1888 is at its center. It is a 30-seat bar. There's a rotating beer selection of 6 regional breweries, or from 6 regional breweries, and wine and craft cocktails as well, pretty fun. I was there last night sitting next to someone who asked me how I knew about Southern Market, and I told him, I said, I helped create it. And I said, and he said, how did you get to do that? And I said, well, I've worked with Willow Valley since 1995. And he said, that's really great. And I said, when were you born? It was 1995. So anyway, he was loving it just as I was and everybody else. Anyway. So Lynn and Gray just opened in the coffee shop there. They just opened on Wednesday, so check them out if you haven't already. And 4 of the chef vendors have been with us since we opened in 2022, in January of that year. And 4 of the vendors also, and this was our hope, was that it would spawn businesses outside of Southern Market. 4 of them have locations outside of Southern Market, and 2 have opened solo establishments, and that will continue. So there are also a number of events at Southern Market. Trivia night was last night. That's always happening. I'm scared to death of it, but anyway. But then there's also music a lot of nights of the week, and that will continue to grow and build as well. So Southern Market also has mezzanine offices. So if you're in Southern Market and you look up, you see a U-shape office configuration. Actually, it goes all the way around the floor, but there are 19 mezzanine office spaces that are available for individuals, and 3 of them are available now. So 5 of the tenants have been with us. We thought at the time that we launched that we would have flex office spaces, short-term and long-term, but the preference among the leaseholders is for us to sign or to have annual leases. So again, 3 of them available now. They turn over, somewhat, but we're helping people launch companies there. And they get to utilize a lot of what Southern Market has available to them, including group conference spaces and the kitchenette and so on. And they do have 24-hour access 7 days a week, too. So events have been a great thing. There were 377 events, private events, that were hosted in Southern Market. We have a number of rooms that are available for those that are available. They're very accessibly priced by intent, and they can be catered into by the Southern Market chefs, or there's a voucher system if that is easier, and we have people on board who can help with that too. So now going across the street to Mosaic. So when we first read the RFP, John and I had already toured the L&P site, and I had not seen the RFP yet. John, I'm not sure if you had, but I had not seen it. And when I read the RFP for the first time, it was like, oh my goodness, we're all on the same page. And that was just really exciting to see, and I think, again, validation of concept for, all of us. So the location is ideal for many reasons. One is it's just south of Penn Square. We're already starting to go down the path of working at Southern Market. But the Central Market, as a person, a foodie from New Orleans, Central Market is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And Mosaic actually gives people the chance to live, a block away from Central Market, which I think is enough marketing right there, but there's a little bit more to do. Anyway, but really a great location. Also, it is, because it's in the south part of the city, it's actually closer to our existing campuses, and so we can service, multiple locations better. So the walkability to top destinations is outstanding. You all know this, so we don't need to linger there. But so Mosaic is a step forward, as part of the program that we have. Mosaic is planned to be 20 stories, and it would be 146 apartments. And right now, 58 of those are reserved, with one on hold. And we have seen a very significant increase in marketing momentum over the recent past, and expect that to continue. As y'all can imagine, it's with a national marketing footprint, it's very difficult to get the word out to a national market. But we continue to plod down that path, and it's moving along very nicely. So the building will be exclusively active adult living, but it is part of Willow Valley Community's Life Care program. So as one would move from independent living or active adult into supportive living, then they would move from Mosaic to the suburban campuses, but the whole focus of the building is very much about wellness. So when complete, it will represent about 8% of Willow Valley's total active adult or independent living portfolio. So right now there are about 650 independent or active adult residences, and again, this is 146 of those, or in addition to that. Parking will be at the existing Steinman garage, which is very helpful because it's not fully utilized and becomes an asset for us. And then there are 16 apartment styles that are ranging in square feet from 1,592 to 3,300 and 38. And the amenities on the suburban campuses will be accessible to Mosaic residents, as will the amenities on Mosaic's campus be available to the residents of the suburban campuses as well. So this rendering actually moved very forward because I figured you would be most interested to see this. So this is the street interaction at Queen and Vine. So Vine being the one with the silver car, obviously that's Southern Market over to the south side of that. And so when we were working with Gensler, the architect, to plan Mosaic, the plan was to have it integrate seamlessly with the local or the street architecture. So the tall parts of the building are set over 90 feet back from the street, so that everything at the Queen Street side is two stories. So it relates well to what's there architecturally. And it was amazing to work with Gensler. I had the chance to work with them on space uses, and Gensler brought a lot to the table. It's the largest architecture firm in the United States with a lot of experience in hospitality and high-rise development, so they were a perfect partner for us. And in working with them, they really came to understand and appreciate the need for this to be porous, if you will, with a lot of open access points to the public, and we'll go through some of those too. So this is a brand new video that we just completed that has not been shown publicly yet, and so I wanted to go ahead and play this for y'all today.
I love Lancaster City because of the history that's here and the vibrant city life.
I've lived here for almost 20 years, and I found that living in downtown Lancaster has all the amenities that I had in my neighborhood in Baltimore.
We are a small city, but we are a city that punches above our weight class, And I believe that that is what people note when they come to visit here, is that we are such a surprise because they think of Lancaster as just being about farmland and barns, and then they come into the city and it's like a completely different experience.
I've been in Lancaster County for 34 years. We're in a diversified city with opportunities to enjoy culture, art, fantastic food scene, entertainment, all very walkable.
We have over 300 places to eat, to shop, to enjoy, to visit, and that's more than many other cities of our size.
City life is a lot about the food. We have restaurants that garnered national attention. The amount of fresh food, local produce, it's on the table of every restaurant in the city.
From a design standpoint, there's a very rich urban fabric.
There was our desire to bring an iconic building to the city, really design something that was going to fit in with the fabric and cadence of the city streetscape, but at the same time, really bring to the city something unique and exciting from an architectural standpoint.
So you still have it all in one level. It's just open and bright, cheerful.
I think having different architecture in a city where you spend a lot of time and effort on preserving the historical aspects of the city, but also then to have something modern as a complement to all of that. It adds variety and adds interest to a city.
Lancaster City being a walkable community makes it ideal for our residents to experience everything that the city has to offer.
We designed this so that the building should be very porous. So if somebody wanted to take a bike ride, they could just wheel their bike out, or they could come out on Queen Street, go get a coffee, and then go meet somebody at the convention center.
But there's also other specialty areas as amenities. We have the fitness center, the pool, the spa experience.
I think there's something in the DNA about Willow Valley that is just more community oriented. They're creating community within Willow Valley and then it's extending beyond that.
We think it's the most dynamic model in the industry, and that is to take that active adult type of environment and merge that in a traditional CCRC.
When we chose Willow Valley Communities, the Type A life care was extremely important because we had both dealt with our own aging parents. And so we certainly saw it as a gift to our children.
The continuing care portion of what Willow Valley offers, but also the amenities and the programs that they have are just second to none.
I can invite friends and have a dinner party in this fantastic high-rise. And so I think they're looking forward to it as much as I am.
We have friends that joked with us, you're going to have an extra bedroom, aren't you?
For those who are looking for the perfect place to retire and entertain your family when they come visit, there's just a lot to offer here because it's got everything that I've dreamed of.
So I have to mention that the residents who were featured in that, and I believe it was all of the residents that were featured in that, are currently residents of our suburban campuses who are planning to move to Mosaic. So that is an option that is open there. So I did just want to say there's a large list of amenities that'll be in the building, but I wanted to call attention to a few that will be open to the public. So he did tell us he had to leave early, and I told him, I said, you're going to be leaving in the middle of my section. So anyway, yeah, thanks. Okay, thank you. So but there are a few of these amenities that are open to the public. So on the ground floor, right at the intersection of Queen and Vine, will be a restaurant. And so it has indoor seating. So if you were to walk into the Mosaic building, this is going to be what you see on the right. And then this is the outdoor seating area that, again, is exactly at the intersection of Queen and Vine. And there is a covered pathway that you see, that awning structure, that will connect Mosaic to the intersection of Southern Market. So one could just walk right across, and then, of course, you can go out of some of the back areas, the urban oasis that would connect you almost directly to Central Market, and we intend to enhance that pathway that is on the east side of the Steinman parking garage. So that would be an enhanced pathway that will connect Central Market to Southern Market, basically extending Steinman Park. So we look forward to that, and that's something we're all excited about. And this is the 16th floor bar amenity that will be open to everyone on the days that it operates, and it also will have an outdoor terrace. So there are a lot of maximizing outdoor options or outdoor opportunities here in the Mosaic building as well. And there will be a ballroom, so this can be utilized by anyone from the outside who wants a large ballroom space. So this could be an extension of what people might plan at the convention center, but it also would be utilized for programming and events for Willow Valley residents on all campuses. But anyone can also book it privately as well. So the apartments have floor-to-ceiling windows. The windows do, where you see that third slice on the window, they do open. There are not balconies in the building, but there are operable windows. Very open and airy plans, as you see. And we do have some available. So, hey, I'm teasing. Okay, so that is the presentation, and with that, we'll open it up to Q&A. Thank you so much.
All right, anyone with a question, feel free to raise your hand. I'll come around the room. See you over here.
Before you start construction?
So that's a very good question. So the question was, how many reservations do you need to start construction? So it depends on the finance company. Some finance companies would say 0. Some would say more than that. But it really depends. They all have different levels or different thresholds for what they would approve. The very beneficial thing is that Willow Valley is A-rated with Fitch, and so while it has expanded very dramatically, it's done so very pragmatically also, and the investments that it has made have led to its continued and growing financial strength. So that does factor in to their evaluation, and so we are in conversations with financial advisors and finance companies. And one of the things that you do need to show is substantial interest in a project like this, but we feel very confidently that we're getting to that threshold with 58 already 58 depositors who have reserved apartments, and then also another on hold, and hopefully we continue to close, very quickly to get to that breaking point. But it's really, they all have different places, but they are now pursuing us now, which is great. And so hopefully we'll have news on that very soon. Next.
Other questions? I was expecting to see tons of hands shoot up. Yeah.
Pretty good. Do you have any other models that you looked at about the country, and like the scale of Lancaster, and how are they going?
Yeah. So we did. A lot of what's happening in 55 plus in urban settings is in the for rent space. So you may have heard of Greystar. Greystar is the largest apartment developer in the United States, and they launched a 55 plus brand called Overture. And I actually worked with Greystar as they were launching that. And so they are in markets like Lancaster, so they pursue sites like this. They do not have a continuum of care, and they are not expansions of organizations that support their scale. So we feel like we're a better, dare I say, I am a little biased, but a strong model. But there are other communities like Tyson's in suburban Washington, D.C., where they have been very successful in launching communities of this type. But we did, and we also looked at residential high-rises, again, looking outside of the industry too. So the model itself is very tight. The challenge is selling something that doesn't exist quite yet. So that's a little atypical in our model, because usually we're building to demand, and we're able to scale development horizontally. So you would maybe build an apartment building that may be of a few stories. Well, that's a lot different than building one of 20. So there's more proof that has to go in, but we are excited about that and welcome it.
We have a question right here, and then I can tee up if there's someone else who wants to. Sam?
The big question, how about pricing?
So pricing starts at so it's a life care model. 648 is the 648,000. So it's a life care product. So the way life care works is there's an entrance fee that amortizes over a 10-year period. But it also provides for lifelong care. So, and then there's a second person fee that is in addition to that, but that is not anywhere near the first person entrance fee. So it provides for lifelong care. So if someone moves from active adult or independent living into supportive living or into memory care or even nursing care, there's no change in the monthly fee. So the monthly fees are akin roughly to non-mortgage expenses on a home of the size of these apartments. So the expense is in that entrance fee, but the entrance fee pays for life care. So Willow Valley has been attractive to many people because of the security that provides. So a lot of, if you're traveling, if you don't want your kids to have to worry about the need for care, it's a very good model. And I don't just say that with bias, I say that factually. It's working across the industry in every type of 55 plus housing. Life care is by far, to me, the best version of 55 plus living because of that security. But I encourage you to look into it. We're happy to also have those conversations. So 640, and then the largest, the penthouse apartments, and we have one of those left, is 1.4 million. But they're very competitive.
I think maybe this is an appropriate follow-up question. I'm thinking about the impact on the neighborhoods around this development. This luxury apartments are going to be a block away from some of the most substandard housing that we have in Lancaster along the Beaver Street corridor. So maybe a question for Marshall, like what kinds of investments are we looking at in the neighborhoods to try to help protect residents from displacement and making sure that we're also investing in things that like those neighbors can benefit from?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important, that is an important point. One of the things I would point out too, though, is, I mean, this is the exact kind of development that we like to see, which right now, there's no displacement. It was built on a vacant lot. It was not replacing housing. But even with that, yes, I think we do have to be protective of surrounding neighborhoods, and some of the work that we do with SOE, HDC, and others to and SACA to reinforce and look for additional tools so that people can stay in their homes, build personal wealth, and and actually get to a point where when a new project comes online in a neighborhood where it can reinforce home ownership, where you can benefit from the everyone gets afraid of raising property values and property taxes, but if you own your home, you want your property to continue to appreciate. So it's balancing, how do you protect who's in, surrounding or nearby neighborhoods now so that they can take advantage of this type of development as opposed to, being afraid of it. And to do that is continuing to work with to work with Tenfold, to work with the partners. But I think that is top of mind for us, top of mind for the city. I would also say that we also need to recognize that that there has to be a continued push for housing, of all types, but especially for the downtown area. We're in a new era now with still dealing with the aftermath of COVID, when there are more people that are working remotely, less people in the offices. So for the sake of the small businesses, both in downtown and surrounding, having more residential units to help fill that gap, I think is crucial as well. And many of those small business owners actually live, in other areas of the city. So not forgetting that we're a very small, compact 4 square miles. one block can make a huge difference. So going back to your original point, yes, we do need to protect those neighborhoods while we are, celebrating what we think was a great thing for the city.
I'll add to that, the residents of Willow Valley are very active volunteers as well. So they, not only does the spending that they generate support the businesses, but also they actively support the community through volunteerism and even financial support to some of the nonprofits in town. So in fact, I remember when Stevens and Smith was moving forward, how excited they were to hear of Willow Valley's plans, because a significant portion of their volunteer base is represented by Willow Valley Communities residents too.
I had a question about the tax revenue. So I'm come from a healthcare, not a business background. So is Willow Valley a non-for-profit, meaning Mosaic, there'll be no property tax attached to that? And to Marshall's point, we live in the city, and yes, we like to see our home values go up, and they certainly have, but we also pay hefty school taxes, property taxes have been on hold for a while, so it's a kind of a two-faced question. But so is Willow Valley non-for-profit, so you won't pay taxes, or you will pay taxes on Mosaic?
Yeah, so fortunately we have John in the room, and I'm going to ask John to answer that question because he's the lead on that one.
I was going to say she's not running away from that.
Willow Valley pays real estate taxes. Even though it is a not-for-profit organization, we pay real estate taxes in Willow Street, and we will in Lancaster City as well.
I think we have time for one more question if anyone has one.
This is sort of the reverse of what we've been talking about, but you don't have to walk very far at all. You can have limited walking ability, and you're in some very dicey neighborhoods. I don't want to name streets, but we're within a block or two. Have you had any pushback and people looking at units?
So the question was, do we have pushback? Because, I think what we're seeing is a number of people are from cities already. I live in New Orleans, right? So my threshold in looking at something that is city-centered is going to be different than someone who is from a suburban neighborhood. So that is a consideration, but I think this city does a really great job of protecting its residents. And that was one of the things that made us feel good about moving forward on the site. So, and sometimes people have asked us, is it a different buyer that you're seeing who's looking at Mosaic versus the suburban campuses? And I would say it's not, except that some of them have had experience living in cities before, and they are drawn to the diversity and the spontaneity, and even, I would say, the rough edges of cities. They love living in cities. And so, I think what gives a city some of its challenges is also what gives it some of its charm. I see that happening in New Orleans too. So, but yes, I think it's been more helpful than it has been hurtful.
Yeah, and I would also say there's also the difference between perception and reality. And, and actually it's just getting the word out that Lancaster is a safe city. And the best way to do that is for, folks in this audience, residents that live here, to spread the word. I mean, word of mouth, I think is key. And we're blessed to have a city that cares so much for this environment, that are real cheerleaders, and we always need that to continue, whether it's for Mosaic or anyone opening a business or anyone wanting to move into one of the neighborhoods in the city. And if I could plug one more thing for Amos, one of the things as we talk about surrounding neighborhoods that we are working on is the creation of land banks or land trusts. And that really does, protect neighborhoods. And maybe soon there will be a call out to help fund those. So if there's other folks in the audience that want to support that, we'll have mechanisms for that soon. That could be another topic for another Hourglass, actually.
Thanks for the tip, Marshall. Any final comments?
No, just to say thank you very much. A pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Thank you to both of you for sharing. I can tell this is a topic. Yeah. I can tell this was a topic that people were really curious about, and I imagine if you guys have some extra time just to stick around as people are leaving and answer any questions. But thanks again for your time and for being here and coming from New Orleans. Just a couple of announcements before you all head out. We will post a video of this recording next week at some point, so if you're on our newsletter, you'll get that sent to your inbox. I encourage you to send that to people. If you think this is a really great space that you're really enjoying, send that to friends, any colleagues that you think would be interested. You can easily become a member of the Hourglass. There were quite a few of you who raised your hand that this is your first Hourglass First Friday Forum. So on your way out, you're more than welcome to grab information about joining. You can do so online as well. And like I said, my business card, our annual report, all sorts of things are out on that table for you to take a look at if you want to explore a little bit more about what we do. Just two other things. We are seeking a volunteer at the Hourglass, so if you know anyone who is looking to spend some time at the Hourglass, a lot of it is really people relations, mailing, things like that. And so again, my contact information is out there if anyone's interested. Our October First Friday Forum will be a nonpartisan panel discussion on immigration policy in Lancaster County. So if you are a member, you'll receive an invitation to that. And as always, we welcome you to bring other people with you and invite them to the conversation. Thanks again to our presenters. Thanks to you all for your curiosity, and happy Friday.